Welcome. In this update, we will talk about planning now for spiritual activities over the next few months.
Planning now for the spiritual activities in the next few months? You mean like how people can support my anti-spiritual activities for the next few months on Patreon? Mark Sanderson is back with another governing body update, and this kind of confirms some of my suspicions on him. But for the very first time ever, he'll reveal how much this cult is spending in Africa. Like, the whole continent, he doesn't specify. And it's an insane amount of money spent not on helping or feeding the helpless and hungry, but on indoctrinating the new wave of Jehovah's Witnesses. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's start debunking this update.
On March 28, 2025, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck Myanmar and Thailand. The epicenter was in Myanmar, in the city of Mandalay. Many brothers and sisters had fled to Mandalay because of war in various parts of the country. Sadly, a married couple serving as missionaries in Mandalay died when the apartment building they were living in collapsed. We can only imagine the pain and grief felt by their family members and the many brothers and sisters who loved them dearly. We continue to pray that Jehovah gives these ones the strength and comfort they need at this time.
Yeah, because Mark and his buddies are definitely not going to do anything to help them. Otherwise, they would have mentioned it in this update. No, this isn't here for any other reason than fear-mongering. This is one of the very few still effective indoctrination techniques used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Mark is hyper-focusing on this tragedy to fear-monger his followers. They believe these kinds of tragedies will only increase with time, and it will be very soon your turn to suffer these tragedies. Do you want to be outside of this cult, the only net of support you've ever known, when these tragedies happen? Now, even if this were to happen to you as a Jehovah's Witness, you would still not get any help other than the one given to you by your congregation, but never by this religion itself. If this religion ends up helping, the help will come like this.
In South America and in Southern and Eastern Africa, some of our brothers and sisters are suffering from famine. To address these needs, we are providing food relief to over 8,000 brothers and sisters in 6 countries. We sincerely thank you for your generous contributions that make this relief work possible.
He said something very interesting. We are providing food relief for over 8,000 brothers and sisters. When a cult or a narcissist gives information like this, you need to keep something in mind. The information is always carefully worded to sound the best it possibly can. So let's break that sentence down with that in mind. Who is we? We, the governing body? I don't think so. We, Jehovah's Witnesses? More likely, if this helps was coming directly from the governing body or the religion organizationally, then Mark would have mentioned it because it would make the religion look better. Why would he avoid saying something that makes this religion look better? No, I think it's far more likely that the we that Mark is talking about means local Jehovah's Witnesses, whether that is at a branch at most, where the branch is acquiring and shipping food to some congregations, or far more likely that this is at a congregational level, where congregations themselves have to acquire and distribute food. But that gets us to food relief. What does that mean? Does that mean that they will get enough food for 1 year? For 1 month? 1 week? Are they just getting a dinner or 2? This photo shows women carrying bags of what I assume is some kind of grain. Is this half a bag per person? Is it per household? We don't know. Mark doesn't bother giving us those details. But again, since he doesn't give us those details, I don't think the details make this religion look better. If anything, I'm willing to bet that the details make this information sound worse, which is why Mark avoided them. Because what we do know is that this was given to over 8,000 brothers and sisters. That's it. This religion isn't helping anyone who isn't already in the religion and doesn't even want to get into detail of how they're helping the very few members that they say they're helping. And remember, these members are still expected to donate money. We've seen a dramatization where people who are refugees are still expected to donate money. So these guys are not as bad as refugees monetarily. They're still expected to donate. All they want to do is to use this example to ask for donations, as if donations went to feed the poor Jehovah's Witnesses and not to CSA cases, or even better, on indoctrinating a new wave of members that can spend the rest of their lives in service of this cult.
We're also happy to report that 6 brothers were recently released from prison in Russia after serving their sentences. This includes Brother Dmitry Golik, who served about 4 years in prison. Upon release, Dmitry was met by his wife and a group of family members and friends. Also recently released was Brother Inver Seyukov. His sister and her husband were there to share his joy. Inver spent 4 years in a pre-trial detention center. That is a record for the amount of time that one of our brothers has spent in pre-trial detention, where conditions are often harsher than a penal colony.
This is more fear-mongering, this time in the shape of pretend persecution. The Russian government has imprisoned multiple members of multiple religions, but you wouldn't know that if you were a Jehovah's Witness. Instead, as a Jehovah's Witness, you learn that your religion and your religion alone is the one that is being persecuted by Russia, with these reports of men serving their sentences portrayed as martyrs for their faith. Any faith needs martyrs. By hyper-focusing on what one authoritarian government is doing to a few individual Jehovah's Witnesses, Mark achieves 2 things. First, it ignites in his audience the fear of persecution. They believe that they are such good Christians that the whole world will inevitably persecute them. This is used to confirm that fear to keep members indoctrinated. And second, it invalidates what other countries are doing to legislate against the most damaging parts of this cult. In a Jehovah's Witness mind, Russia is just as bad as Norway, which removed their religious status and stopped giving them millionaire grants due to their practice of shunning children. If you only focus on the actual injustices that one government commits against Jehovah's Witnesses, you'll think all governments are unjust when they legislate against this cult.
In March 2025, the governing body invited branch committee members 80 years of age or older to consider their circumstances. As a result, some of these dear brothers have made a personal decision that they will no longer serve as branch committee members.
Branch committee members are some of the higher-ups in this religion, one of the highest positions a regular Jehovah's Witness man can achieve inside this cult. And Mark is saying how the governing body basically told members 80 years old and older to quit. I find it very odd and curious that it's Mark announcing this. As we keep hearing, Mark seems to be the main guy in the governing body who's taking the lead. And one of the things that he has been pushing for is getting the new generation of Jehovah's Witness higher-ups. Remember, this month's JW broadcasting was led by Mark Sanderson too. The last governing body update was given by Mark Sanderson. I think originally they made JW broadcasting so governing body members could talk directly to their followers, except it quickly became too much work that most of the governing body members weren't willing to do. That's why I believe the governing body updates came to be, as a way that a governing body member can talk directly to their followers without the need to set up a whole monthly broadcast. Except the main guy doing those is Mark Sanderson nowadays. And Mark made these higher-ups not only submit their resignation, but they made them talk on camera about how loving it is that he made them do that.
Old age sneaks up on you, and you don't realize at times the limitations that you have. So this was a way for the governing body to help us to just accept the reality of old age and the consequences.
During my almost 77 years of full-time service, I have always experienced that Jehovah's guidance through the faithful slave brings joy and contentment.
I truly believe that this arrangement is an expression of Jehovah's deep love.
This is exactly what victims of a narcissist in a relationship think, that whatever the narcissist makes them do is loving and proof of how much they love them. The video is here to let everyone know that these old guys are resigning the right way, aka being removed out of their high position by no fault of their own. Mark even says that these guys will keep boring us with public speeches. I believe this is a move by Mark Sanderson to keep doing what he has been trying to do and getting the new generation of Jehovah's Witness higher-ups trained and working for free for this cult. And I find it sad to think that these guys who spend their lives working for free for this cult simply got asked to resign and got no more compensation than this appearance on Mark's governing body update.
I'm sure we are all looking forward to attending a convention. As a reminder, so that everyone can get the most out of the convention program, the governing body requests that we all please be seated so that we can listen to the convention's musical preludes.
The governing body requested, doesn't it, Mark? This kind of sneaks up on you, but it's yet another show that the leaders of this religion are now far more willing to let people know that they are the ones controlling this religion. Long gone are the days where Mark would have said that you need to do this because it'll make Jehovah happy. This religion is no longer about Jehovah, who was the governing body all along anyway. This religion is about doing whatever the governing body says because they said it, just like any other cult.
Speaking of conventions, here's another update. Recently, the brothers at World Headquarters reviewed the audio and video equipment needs for regional conventions in 20 African branches. Outstandingly, the attendance in these 20 branch territories was nearly 2.5 times the number of publishers. This represents close to 5 million attendees. But not all of the convention locations have sufficient audio and video equipment to enjoy the convention program like our brothers in other lands. We're pleased to inform you that the governing body has approved to spend $21.1 million over a 3-year period to purchase additional audio and video equipment for conventions in Africa.
Over $20 million spent in Africa countries exclusively on indoctrination materials. This is definitely far more money in orders of magnitude than whatever money they spend giving some food to a few thousand members of this religion. And remember, we don't even have a reason to believe that money came from their religion and not from local congregations. This is extremely shameful. Mark Sanderson just admitted that they will spend far more trying to convert people in African countries than trying to help them. And this perfectly lines up with Mark's efforts of seemingly trying to get the new generation of Jehovah's Witnesses. Mark has to know that this religion is aging. This religion is having trouble maintaining its grip in the countries where they already have a presence. That's why he and the rest of the governing body are spending over $20 million trying to get the new generation of Jehovah's Witnesses, this time from African countries that we don't even get the name of. The names of those countries don't matter. What matters is that people in those countries actually want to attend conventions. And they need to have good speakers and screens to perfectly see Mark Sanderson begging them for money and for free labor. This is shameful, and yet another proof that this religion isn't a charity. This is a predatory cult, and it should not get charity status in any country.
Now, let's talk about planning spiritual activities. In the Northern Hemisphere, as we move into summer, many of us will have our conventions in the weeks ahead. Even in the Southern Hemisphere, many conventions will be held in the next few months. And you may be planning other activities or possibly vacations too. As you look ahead, what is a good principle to remember? the greatest joy and satisfaction will come from giving to our wonderful God, Jehovah. As Proverbs 3:9 and 10 says, honor Jehovah with your valuable things.
Wait, what? Mark just said that since convention season is upon us, you need to remember to honor Jehovah with your valuable things. Is he saying the quiet part out loud? Because Mark will say that one of your valuable things is time that you spend doing free labor for him. But obviously, the other valuable things are money. And it's an open secret that conventions are a huge money makers for this religion, which is why I believe they'll continue to do them. Is Mark now subtly telling Jehovah's Witnesses that they are expected to give money then too?
Young ones, if you have time off school during the next few months, could you spend more time in the ministry? In the weeks leading up to each convention, we'll invite our neighbors to attend the convention with us. That's an excellent time to expand our ministry. Could you auxiliary pioneer? Many of us have fond memories of auxiliary pioneering during school breaks. Of course, this applies not only to our younger ones. All of us want to consider if we could auxiliary pioneer. Perhaps we might even be able to do so as a family. Could we reach out to work some unassigned or seldom worked territory? No doubt such activities would bring us deep joy and satisfaction.
Okay, Mark isn't pretending anymore. He literally says that this whole preaching thing isn't about finding converts. It's about keeping converts in the cult, making them feel happy and satisfied that they tried finding other converts. This is why the preaching work is dead. Because the preaching work is simply busy work to make members feel like they're doing something.
Some of you young ones are finishing school in the coming months. If so, have you prayerfully considered the goal of regular pioneering? The new service year is just a few months away. Why not consider putting in your application? There are also opportunities to volunteer for Kingdom Hall maintenance and construction. Could you apply to share in this work? And remember that baptized brothers and sisters 18 years of age and older may now apply for Bethel. That's another wonderful way to serve Jehovah. This is also an excellent time to think about attending the School for Kingdom Evangelizers. Recently, the governing body encouraged young ones to consider the goal of missionary service. SKE is the door to missionary service. Have you put in your application for SKE?
And here's what Mark has been trying to do for years now. If you thought he was looking for the next generation of Jehovah's Witnesses, this but all confirms it. He basically listed every single thing that a young Jehovah's Witness can do to prepare themselves to spend their life in service for this cult. This, to me, reeks of desperation. This cult is sinking, and although Mark can't admit it, he's desperately trying to get rid of the old people who can't do as much anymore and find the new generation that will replace them so this cult can continue existing.
Of course, we are also making plans to attend the convention in person, if at all possible. Even if we have limited health or strength, could we attend in person one day or even a half day of the convention? Doing so would allow us the joy of praying together, singing together, and being with our dear brothers and sisters in person.
And of course, he ends with appealing to everyone to please attend to the convention in person so they can also be indoctrinated, and arguably, so they don't forget to donate money. After all, people don't donate money just because they're watching a video online, unless it's my beautiful subscribers who send me a super thanks or something like that sometimes. But they don't have super thanks on jw.org. But don't be surprised if Mark shows up in the next update telling you that they installed one and now you can send governing body members super stickers. And since Mark Sanderson is so desperate for me to watch the convention, I guess that's what I'll be doing. I'm already analyzing all the convention videos, and those will likely be my next upload, so subscribe and activate the bell button if you want to be notified when those are done, and maybe consider supporting me on Patreon or YouTube like these guys over here to gain access to extra videos, early videos, downloadables, and more.